how to code Python, I learned how to program mbots, and I learned ciphers.
And we learned a lot of encryptions with like the Caesar cipher and the Legionnaire cipher.
Learn how to do like basic stuff on Raspberry Pi. Learn how to 3D model. And
favorite part of camp?
Raspberry Pis, they were fun.
I've learned how to code in Python and 3D model.
I really like the Raspberry Pi. It was very educative in coding with Python, and all the cipher codes we learned. It was very hard at times, but interesting.
I learned a lot more ciphers than I already knew, and Python. It was fun.
My favorite thing about the camp is building the Raspberry Pis and programming our mbots.
What have you learned in camp?
How to like code in Python, how to do a lot of different things.
I learned how to code the computer to make a calculator.
I have learned lots of new ciphers, for example, the Legionnaire.
I learned about the Secret Service and how long they dated back to.
I think maybe like my parents for sending me here. So it's so much more fun than I thought it would be.
Something that I've learned in camp is how to do cipher code and PigFem.
I learned how to code in Python. My favorite part of camp was messing around with the robots. I just like to thank my mom and dad for sending me to camp.
I learned a bunch of things to decrypt and encrypt messages.
I've learned how to code some. I've done gaming stuff and ciphers, a lot of ciphers.
My favorite part of camp so far would probably be the Raspberry Pi or the mbots, mainly because I've wanted to do something with either robots or a computer for a while now. I would like to thank my dad for letting me come here and tell you about this place, or else I would never have gotten to be here.
My favorite part of camp was the Raspberry Pi.
What was your favorite part of camp?
Building robots.
What was your favorite part of camp?
Making the computers.
I learned how Python works and a couple coding ciphers.
You get a lot more opportunities and information when you go through the program, and it's really neat, and I'm really thankful to be part of the 34 kids that are here.
What have you learned in camp?
A lot of coding.
That I thought was cool was Python, which I'm still learning.
I learned how to 3D model and 3D print things.
I learned to decrypt and encrypt different ciphers and programming the Raspberry Pi.
Probably the M-Robot and coding it to move.
My favorite part about this camp was doing stuff with the Raspberry Pi, and I learned a lot about programming.
Something that I learned is how interesting ciphers are and how they can be confusing sometimes, but they are cool.
My favorite part about the camp is learning about Raspberry Pis and coding on them with Python.
What was your favorite part of camp?
Probably 3D modeling. I learned how to 3D print.
Is there anything else you would like to say?
GenCyber is a great camp.